abusia me see ye bie eye 2026 eba ya ha say Ghana de ye promo de eye akwabet was ye promo de Ghana head papa 2026 ye wura mu ya any TV3 almost 7 years hot on their political show key points one of the interesting political shows Ghana ha mostly on Saturdays na ya na esi na Martin Kpebu, the legal practitioner, lawyer Martin Kpebu, one me krom, the former member of parliament, Asante Achim North, lawyer and the Appiah Kubi, ono ye wun to me a counsel, my lord, your honor, objection overruled, objections are stayed, and yeah. And appear on TV3 actually just a woman say wait to now we have no Cecilia Dapa a case ya mbeka ya in the actual administration better say and Kufuor ever can once say oh Cecilia Dapa dey me enti minim pepe report na be ban na ne hu say so sabro be say enya de ne be ko akoko no e na ye ma lawyer Martin Kpebu say eze wabetina baabi so waba obi fie na yama ho akwaba na akwafa efie ho nsem na wo kan eno na lawyer Martin Kpebu eno na lawyer and the Appiah Kubi say ompene da na before I behwe see no we discuss some of the things are on the political show no lawyer and the Appiah Kubi kan ne lawyer Martin Kpebu also kan in fact na Musa Dankwa so hobi Musa Dankwa poster na ono na CEO for Info Global Analytics almost research company especially on elections and how our no ensem ekro saying a nipa eka saying a nipa adwen de fa sanse no omo na saa post no na aboa na omo so ahya ma omo interested and as stakeholders are omo interest in those posts na obeye the New Year review 2025 His Excellency John Dramani Mahama the first time no saying na Ghana for ehun no na through the post no my beti ase say the job approval rate no is a little over 56%. Just Ghana for who say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama na adwuma wo ye no aso Ghana for ani a just obo no modern papa if you say exams here ana wanya over 50% and just what pass it so what pass it just say oko wanim to the next stage na eno na lawyer and the Appiah Kubi ema yeti ase bra Musa Dankwa presentation ni wie no say oh say na Ghana for kan dia na just say the government's current government must be commended if you say enough forms are na mom no it is not just about the economy. Then we also have environment. Nah, me oh can you now? Though I am a former member of parliament, you know me with someone say and you nipa chama who do ni action say he is involved in Galamsey. Galamsey say it is widely known by Appiah otie Appiah o Ghana ni bia say ensase. Enti wo momutwa ho so as untumi lawyer allegedly yes was say Ghana ensase a. Now we can say say if we take just the economy, now discuss it without looking at the environment, say if the environment is preserved, now the economy maintains it. And the organization say you education infrastructure, you hospital infrastructure, health infrastructure, kabom, and you can say, the standard of living of Ghanaians have improved. In fact, lawyer Martin Kpebu with the neck presser. In fact, so Dr. Frank Amakwina ono ye the Ashanti Regional Minister for Martin Kpebu lawyer Martin Kpebu ono so ye neck presser kakraka pa and ye oppress me former member of parliament lawyer and the Appiah Kubi oppress the neck e match as hono na odwa kakra so wo me hwe ebra na as Tawantawa kakra so I say heat kakra esi lawyer Martin Kpebu one lawyer and the Appiah Kubi enter.
Forget. Mr. Appiah Kubi, it's too late in the day. That's been my style. All these years. Then can you unwind and reverse everything I've said? That is my style.
So we deserve at least an update from Yoko on.
Yes, Sicilian matter. As long as I live.
Matter for discussion.
Okay, so just okay.
Then we will all contribute to it.
Thank you very much.
But when you bring somebody on this platform, doesn't have the right of rebuttal.
Then don't say it. Don't even come here again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this. And this was just on the side issues. But then the other one, the Appiah Kubi, quick one. This one, standard of living in the last 12 months. What's your verdict on this?
Well, from the statistics and reading from here, I see that the polling is suggesting that people are saying that their standard of living have improved tremendously, looking at the numbers. 57%, 56% is quite on the high. So generally, we could presume that, granted that the people polled have shown this commitment to the survey and responses, then it means that, well, ordinarily one would say that standard of living has improved. But I would say that standard of living will not only be dependent on cost of living, as my good friend was saying. It talks generally about even the environment. What are we seeing? Health, all that put together, then we'll say that our standards, infrastructure development, all that. But I think that my good friend is focusing more on cost of living, which in itself will not give us the necessary responses from the citizenry. So I would have thought that we would, widen the scope and look at generality of life. And in my personal view, we should be looking more at the opportunity cost, whether the prices are going down as against other variables like environment, depletion in the environment. Let's put all that in a basket. Then we'll see whether generally we have an improved standard of living or otherwise.
I see. Now, you rather we take it from that perspective.
Yes.
On that's Musa.
Prof has been talking about cost of living, and that's what I heard him to be talking about.
No, yes. I mean, what we're trying to say is that people generally link cost of living improvement to their standard of living. I know there's a broader definition of living standards.
And from a technical standpoint, I would also bring in a lot more variables and put them in scope, and then we'll see whether or not we are seeing improvements in those areas. And I'm particularly emphatic in areas of environmental decadence or otherwise.
Right.
And I'm saying that if we put that in context, probably our results will be different. That's what I'm saying. And again, even health facilities, infrastructure development. In the last 12 months, what have been the improvement in infrastructure stock? What have been improvement in our educational system and educational resource? What has been improvement in our health facilities in terms of facilities and access and quality? If we put all that in the basket, then we could be talking about generally standard of living as Ghanaians.
I see.
And even access to justice, law, access to recreation, all of that will come into it. But my good friend is only focusing more on cost of living, which again, we are not even referring to inputs. What it is that we have seen as a reduction in cost. Maybe tomato, maybe onion.
Well, Martin Kpebu said, well, Ghana, it is on the right track, especially under the leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, given say Ghana is inflation rates in a very long time. We are experiencing a single-digit inflation. So now, when you are extra inflation, I was saying for your share inflation, a year you do so into a bra waji, a bra our hair, which me most of in videos na ya previously no na wahwe ne e kasafa inflation was e kasa inflation a den na e kire ono so wo kire mu kakra say the inflation is not about so yes figure no so ate and inflation also doesn't mean say oh yes inflation ba from enti enema bo enkoso that is not what it means. So the meaning is according to lawyer Martin Kpebu, it could have been worse. Uminti lawyer Martin Kpebu.
And everything they've gone through. They are saying to us that compared to the last 12 months, their standard of living has improved.
I see. No, Martin Kpebu, I'll come to you on this, but let me also apologize once again for the late start of the stream on Facebook and on X. We're on now. We're live on Facebook and on X, on YouTube as well. So you can connect. That is if those of you who, especially on the Voice of London Radio, Martin Kpebu, standard of living over the last 12 months. You have what the president said. Does it reflect what your state of affairs is and what is captured in here? Quickly.
Yeah, so yes, the president is talked number one about the resilience of the Ghanaian. And resilience is very, very important because, you know, if we don't continue to, you know, live with hope, we don't continue to rise above our challenges, then there will be no tomorrow at all. So is the single most important or about the single most important factor when you are analyzing the chances of a nation or a society making progress. Once there is resilience, then you know that, yes, there is tomorrow. But the moment a citizen is knocked down, he doesn't desire to rise, to look for a new job, to seek help elsewhere, etc., then you know that there is trouble. So for me, one thing we'll find is that it's always been the case that we can't have everybody at this time in our national life being satisfied with our economic progress. It doesn't look like it. The reason is easy to, you know, make such a statement is that you look at even the advanced countries where they have food pantries, so where you can go, if you are hungry, go into a food pantry and ask for food, etc. Even in those places, there are still people who are hungry. That's the problem. There are still people who are hungry. Recently, I watched in the UK, they are trying to ramp up the number of food pantries, okay, calling some the Breakfast Club. Look at the very sexy name they've given it, the Breakfast Club. So that, yeah, a sexy name, Breakfast Club for people who cannot. Yes, it's good. You see, I laugh at it's good. We can't always be. You know, for people who cannot afford food, etc. So the point I'm
been like that all through. From Lagos, he hasn't changed.
Yeah, so that's that's my DNA.
Bringing out exotic words all the time.
A leopard doesn't change its spots.
Indeed.
So looking at those ahead of us, the fact that they are also still grappling with the cost of living crisis is serious. It's serious in the UK, US, etc. So it's just the same here, but at least our people are showing that we've improved significantly from 2024. You look at inflation, one of the greatest indications. The last, that's November's own, was at 6.3%.
Yes.
So showing that the rate of increase, and let's be clear, that's the rate of increase between this year's November and last year's November, not October.
True.
Last year's November has been what? A 6.3% increase. But if you check between last year's November and 2023 November, it's higher. Yes, we can prove if your data, we know it often that it was higher, etc. So generally, and so, you know, when we talk about inflation, you know, people will say, now, if the inflation we go chop. You see, Ghanaians have always said that, look, they don't want just numbers. I remember this from over 20 years ago. Yes, that Ghanaians say it's not inflation they will chop. But let's explain a bit more. So from the inflation figures, we're seeing that the rate of increase has come down, meaning that if it hadn't come down, and let's say if a bowl of rice, just for example, was 50 Ghana, right? Then it means that that's, let's say, last November, since we don't have December's data yet. So if last November a bowl of rice was 50 Ghana, right? And this year we're saying that the rate of inflation for November is 6.3. So meaning that, just as an example, the rate would have increased by 6.3, okay, compared to between last November and the November of 2023, which was a bigger figure, was a far bigger figure, right? So what we're saying that it could have been worse in simple terms, meaning that it could have been worse. So the fact that it's not worse, you remember this, let me pass this through. Somebody said if GM had been in charge, the CD would go to 17 Ghana, or is it some ridiculous figure? But at least today, as we speak, the CD to the dollar is between 10 and 11, right? $1 for between 10 and 11 Ghana cedis. Somebody said if GM was in charge, it would have gone to 17. At least for 1 year, we've not seen 17. The people who said 17, they couldn't do better, right? So, considering that it's not been as bad as it was projected, because remember that even Fitch, right? Even Fitch and other rating agencies had put inflation at beyond 10%. Even as a country, the IMF and the other indicators, I think at a point they said 15, then later it came down to about 8%, right? And then further, you see that, so we've beaten the projections. That's all I'm saying. True. From 15 plus or minus 15%, later they downgraded and said, okay, we could end the year with plus or minus 8%, and now it's even lower. We've ended up doing for November 6.3, and from all indications, it's likely December may be lower. So the thing is that in one way, the crack say it could have been worse. But since we've done it this way, we will not pat ourselves on the back. At force the Bank of Ghana and all the people. No time for celebrations yet, because it's the sustainability that is key. If we can keep this going for another 2-3 years, then we can pat ourselves in the back.
It's the sustainability. 1 year goodwill for the president.
Yes.
Beyond this 1 year, what will determine the sustainability?
Lawyer Martin Kpebu ana yete denka say any e hono na say lawyer and the Appiah Kubi kura esre oye neck presser will be jiro obi so pa lawyer Martin Kpebu awusia aha Island TV Plus say na your first time say na waje bra wetie here do obe like your channel no dey amaye so na wa share video no na afoforo so enya bi ahwe ma remfi say obe like video no e dey amaye.